Have you ever stayed completely silent even when you had something important to say? Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head for hours, thinking, I should have said that instead? Do you feel nervous before making a phone call, introducing yourself, or speaking in a group? If your answer is yes, then this video is for you. But here's something that might surprise you. Being quiet doesn't mean you're weak. Having poor communication skills doesn't mean you're unintelligent. And being an introvert doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In fact, some of the smartest, most creative, and most successful people in the world are introverts. The real problem isn't being quiet. The problem is believing that being quiet makes you less valuable. Today, we're going to explore the hidden psychology of introverts, why communication feels difficult for them, and how understanding yourself can completely change the way you see your life. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. Some people immediately start talking, laughing, and making friends. But for an introvert, that same room can feel like standing in the middle of a stage with thousands of people watching. Your brain immediately starts asking questions like, what if I say something stupid? What if they don't like me? What if I embarrass myself? Within just a few seconds, your mind creates hundreds of imaginary problems before you've even spoken a single word. This is called overthinking, and it is one of the biggest reasons many introverts struggle with communication. They don't lack ideas. They simply think so much that they never give those ideas a chance to come out. Psychologists have found that introverts process information differently from extroverts. Instead of reacting quickly, they naturally spend more time observing, analyzing, and thinking before speaking. That is why an introvert may stay silent during a conversation, but later think of the perfect answer when they're alone. It's not because they didn't know what to say. Their brain simply works at a different speed. Unfortunately, the modern world often rewards fast talkers. People who answer quickly are seen as confident, while people who stay quiet are often misunderstood. But silence is not the same as ignorance. Sometimes the quietest person in the room has the deepest thoughts. Another reason communication feels difficult is the fear of being judged. Many introverts are highly sensitive to how others react. A small laugh, an awkward pause, or someone looking away can feel like rejection. Even when nothing bad has actually happened, their brain begins creating negative stories. They start telling themselves, they think I'm boring, they don't want to talk to me, or I ruined the conversation. Most of the time, none of these thoughts are true. They are simply assumptions created by anxiety. The human brain is designed to protect us from danger, but sometimes it mistakes ordinary conversations for dangerous situations, making simple social interactions feel much more frightening than they really are. There is another hidden reason many introverts struggle with communication. Many grew up hearing comments like, speak louder, why are you so quiet? Go make more friends, or be more confident. Although these words may seem harmless, hearing them repeatedly can slowly create the belief that their natural personality is somehow wrong. As they grow older, they stop trusting themselves. Instead of focusing on connecting with people, they become busy trying not to make mistakes. When your goal becomes avoiding mistakes instead of expressing yourself honestly, communication becomes exhausting. You begin monitoring every word you say instead of simply enjoying the conversation. Here's something fascinating. Research shows that introverts usually have rich inner worlds. They imagine different situations, think deeply about emotions, and notice details that many others completely miss. This often makes them excellent listeners, thoughtful writers, creative thinkers, careful decision makers, and incredibly loyal friends. The problem is that these strengths often remain invisible because they aren't always loud enough for the world to notice. Society frequently celebrates people who speak the most, but real wisdom doesn't always make the most noise. Sometimes the most valuable ideas come from the people who spend the most time thinking before speaking. Think about the people you trust the most. Are they always the loudest? Probably not. The people who leave the biggest impact are often those who truly listen. They don't interrupt. They don't constantly try to impress others. They don't compete for attention. Instead, they make you feel understood, respected, and valued. That is one of the greatest communication skills anyone can have. Listening is communication. Kindness is communication. Understanding another person's feelings is communication. Talking is only one part of effective communication, and often it is not even the most important part. If you're an introvert watching this, remember something important. You do not need to become an extrovert to live a successful and meaningful life. You don't need to force yourself to become the loudest person in every room. Your goal is not to change your personality. Your goal is simply to become comfortable expressing the person you already are. Confidence doesn't mean speaking nonstop. Confidence means saying what you truly believe without being controlled by fear. Even one sentence spoken with honesty has more power than 100 empty words spoken only to impress people. So how can introverts improve their communication? The first step is to stop trying to sound perfect. Most conversations are forgotten within minutes. People are usually thinking about themselves, not judging every word you say. The second step is to practice small conversations. Talk to the cashier. Say good morning to your neighbor. Ask someone how their day is going. These tiny conversations slowly train your brain to realize that speaking isn't dangerous. The third step is to accept silence. Not every moment needs to be filled with words. Confident people are comfortable with silence because they don't feel the need to prove themselves every second. One of the biggest myths is that confidence comes before action. In reality, confidence comes after action. You don't become confident and then start talking. You start talking, make mistakes, survive those mistakes, and then confidence slowly grows. Every confident speaker you admire was once nervous too. The difference is that they continued despite their fear. Growth never begins inside your comfort zone. It begins the moment you decide that fear will no longer make your decisions for you. Remember this. The world doesn't need another copy of someone loud. It needs people who think deeply, care sincerely, and choose meaningful words instead of endless noise. Your quiet nature is not your weakness. It is your strength, as long as you stop treating it like a flaw. The moment you accept yourself, something incredible happens. You stop trying to impress everyone. You stop comparing yourself with people who have completely different personalities. And for the first time, you allow the real you to be seen. Ironically, that is when people begin connecting with you the most, because authenticity is far more attractive than pretending to be someone you're not. So if you've ever felt invisible because you're quiet, if you've ever believed your voice didn't matter, or if you've ever thought that everyone else was naturally better at talking, remember this one sentence. Your value is not measured by how much you speak. It is measured by the honesty, kindness, and depth behind your words. Sometimes the strongest voices are the ones that speak the least, but say the most. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who always feels quiet or struggles to express themselves, because it might be exactly what they need to hear today. And if you enjoy videos about psychology, human behavior, self-improvement, and the hidden truths behind the human mind, make sure to subscribe to Sticky Lesson and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next lesson. Until next time, remember this. The loudest voice doesn't always have the strongest message. Sometimes, the quietest mind holds the greatest wisdom. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Sticky Lesson.